ever experienced a scenario where you just wasn't sure, should you say something or should you not say something as a leader? Well, if you've ever came across this, sorry, at any point in your leadership journey, this is a video for you because I'm going to share with you real strategies, real scenarios that can help you determine when you need to be quiet and when you need to speak up as a leader. Now, you may think that you have to speak all the time as a leader, and that's not necessarily the case. I want to highlight with you today some actionable strategies, some things that you can take home with you and start working on today as a roadmap, a guide for you to know while you're in your leadership role, when should you speak and when you should stay silent. Knowing this and being able to practice that level of discernment will absolutely position you for a bigger impact, for higher roles in your career, and also for more money. It helps you to establish your executive presence. It also helps you to be able to navigate office politics that ends up happening a lot of times when you are in a leadership role. So if you're a woman in leadership and any of this is resonating with you right now, you want to stick around and watch this video in its entirety because I'm going to share with you real world strategies, real world information to help you on your journey. Now, if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, what are you waiting for? This is a great opportunity for you to subscribe. I share a lot of content here that is specifically for women in leadership that are trying to elevate themselves, whether they are in the beginning of their leadership journey, the middle, or they're more seasoned in those senior and VP roles. This is for you. I'm here to help you on your journey. There's a lot of things we go through as women in leadership that it would be nice to have some insight on. And I'm going to help you elevate your career, elevate your skills as a leader, and help you to communicate at a higher level than your peers, which will make you always stand out. Now, I do want to also mention that I have a lot of people that are followers of my channel that do not fit the category of women in leadership. And I want to let them know that I appreciate them as well. I know that you're passionate about your leadership journey, so I'm glad to have you here. And feel free to learn as much as you can. A lot of the things that I talk about is leadership in general, regardless of gender. But you're going to learn a lot of information that will help you on your journey. So if you have any questions, let me know before we get into it. As I have people joining us today, I'm going to say hello, and then we're going to go into when you should speak and when you should not speak as a leader. All right. So we have Nafis present. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Hoping that you are doing well today. Feel free to place where you are joining us from in the world today. And if you are excited about learning about this topic and elevating your leadership skills, this is a great time for you to subscribe to the channel because I talk about real world strategies, real world scenarios on this channel. So if you really want to learn serious things that will help you as a leader, then this is the place for you to be. So I want to say hello, Van Horn, hello, and Leah, hello, welcome, welcome. If y'all have any questions about this topic, let me know. I'm about to go ahead and get started with when to speak and when not to speak as a leader. Feel free to place where you are joining from in the world today so we can talk about that, and I'm here to answer any questions for you. Now, times when you need to speak. These are times when you need to speak. Definitely make sure if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, like the video, it gets out to a lot of people. So I have that out the way. But these are the times when you need to speak as a leader. If you have a situation that is either morally wrong, ethically wrong, legally wrong, or is going to put you in a negative light unfairly, then you need to speak up. Any of time those situations come up, you have to speak up and say something about an issue, because oftentimes when those scenarios happen, when I know we shouldn't be doing this, or I know they shouldn't be doing that, oftentimes people don't speak up. And what happens? Those situations will eventually come back around, and you may be the person that gets blamed for it. And so you definitely don't want to be in that situation, to be in that scenario where you get the blame for it. So before I go into more detail as to why you should speak up, let me look into the chat and see what everybody is saying. All right, Nafis is from the UK. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. So Leah had a quick question. Why do you do this? I do this because there is too many people out here in the world today that are stepping into leadership roles, and they are struggling in those leadership roles because they do not have a very strong foundation of what it means to be a leader in those real world scenarios and skills that happen. Oftentimes, as leaders, we go through school and we learn, we're either thrown into leadership roles and we don't know what to do, we don't know how to manage them, or we're looking at books and learning about theories of leadership. And I'm here because I've been working as a C-suite executive, a manager, and a director for the past 20 years. And I'm here to tell you the real truth. I'm here to tell you those scenarios that people are not going to talk about in books, or they may talk about on some YouTube channels in the form of theory and fluff, that are not really going to help you make changes in your career or help you really elevate in your career or be that impactful person that you want to be. So that's why I'm here, Leah. That's why I'm here, is really to support as many people as I can. My main focus is women in leadership, but my content is heavily focused on leadership as itself, and so it applies to all genders. If you're watching this video, then I know you're passionate about leadership and you just want to learn and you want to be able to grow. And Leah, that's why I'm here. So I hope that answers your question. I do want to go ahead and go into some other things. 20 years, but what if I know the truth? But thank you. Okay, so I wasn't quite sure of that response. If you have a question, feel free to let me know. I'll be happy to answer it for you. Now, so we talked about when to speak up. If it's morally, legally, ethically, or it's going to put you in a negative light unfairly, that's not right, then you need to absolutely speak up. So let me give you a scenario that happened to me personally when I had to speak up. So when I was working in a senior leadership role, I was in a situation where I had a manager who made a couple of agreements with external stakeholders that were going to impact the operations that I was managing. Now, I wasn't consulted about this, but the agreements were made without me knowing about it. So when I was asked to basically fix the issue, I had to let them know, what is exactly do you want me to do here? Because what has been promised is something that is not feasible for us to do. It will cause one of our main locations to lose a lot of money. What do you want me to do? Now, if I would have not said anything and I would have just stayed quiet about it, then I would have basically put myself in a situation where they would have done whatever they wanted to do. And that in itself is the prime time for your executive presence to go way down. And you know that if you're watching this channel, I'm all about building your executive presence. So there's times when you need to say something, when you know that you've been placed in a situation that is not fair, or it is not going to help you develop as your business owner, or as you're developing your teams. You have to say something. Do not stay silent, please, because people will take that silence as agreement. And if it's something that you don't agree with, and it feels like you're not being your authentic self, then you have to speak up. I want you all to be your authentic selves at work. A lot of times women in leadership tend to struggle with that, because we want to be that person, that leader that is doing what everybody else is doing, but that authenticity sometimes is not there. So you want to be your authentic self. And in this particular scenario, what happened is I spoke up. I spoke up and said what I had to say. It didn't necessarily go the way that they wanted it to go, but I ended up finding out that I needed to make some changes. And I ended up transitioning to a different location, because I couldn't work in a setting where this is going to be an issue where agreements are made and I don't have any input in it, even though I'm actually the one that's managing it. So this is a time when you have to speak up. This is real life, real scenarios that happen. I want to know from you, have you experienced anything like this as a leader, where you weren't quite sure of when you needed to speak up or when you needed to stay silent? Put it in the comments below. And if you are watching the replay, I will respond to your message and talk to you a bit more about it. We can strategize as to what you could do, or maybe what you might want to consider doing in the future. Now, I do want to say there is one more thing that I do want to mention about speaking up. When you speak up, you want to speak up in a very calm manner. So in a very calm way, not necessarily in a very aggressive or mean way. When you are in a disagreement, or you have to say something that may not necessarily be the most popular thing that people want to hear, say it in a very calm, concise way. Have your tone of voice, as I talk about on my channel quite a bit, and make sure that your tone of voice is slightly lower than what you normally speak, because that helps people to understand the gravity of this situation, how serious this is, that this is something you have to talk about. So that's just a bonus tip that I want to share with you. Now, in terms of when to say silent, when to say silent is really important also, because silence is very, very strategic. And if you're able to use it properly, it will help you not only be that leader that stands out from everybody else, but it will also help you to be in a situation where you are enhancing your executive presence for people to see publicly. So here's an example of when you will need to stay silent. If you are in a situation where you are transitioning into a new role, or you just were promoted, but there is something that has actually happened where you're making that transition, then you will want to definitely observe and stay silent, because you want to collect as much information as you can. One of the things I talk about on my channel often is that you have to collect data. Like, you can't make decisions as a leader unless you have data, unless you have information, or you have some knowledge of something. So you definitely want to make sure you're collecting information. So if you stay silent sometimes, you are able to observe the room and read people and see what their body language is saying that their mouths or not wanting to say. This is definitely more of an advanced leadership type of strategy. And I know many of you may be at the very beginning of your leadership journey, but this is something for you to know, to keep in mind as a skill for you to develop. For those of you who are in the middle or at your already C-suite level VP roles, senior leadership, then these are different types of strategies that you really want to try to master as you are in those leadership roles, because it will actually tell you a lot about what people are thinking that they don't want to say out loud. Now, these are times when you stay silent. So silence is something you need to do when you're trying to observe information, observe what's going on in the room. This is great to help you navigate office politics. I have a lot of women in leadership that I work with that talk about office politics. How do you navigate these dynamics when this person does this person does that? This person gets upset for whatever the reason is. Observe and stay silent. See what everybody else is doing, because they are probably not going to be at your level, especially if you're watching my channel and subscribe to it. You're already going to set yourself at a higher level in terms of communication as it is. So if you're able to stay silent and observe the room and see exactly what people are talking about, this is going to be the best way for you to be able to develop yourself as a leader and your executive presence. So we talked about a couple of things in terms of when to speak up as a leader and when you need to stay silent. If the situation is very contentious and you are with someone who might be very upset or very mad, it's good for you to stay silent, but speak when you need to. And when you speak, your conversation and your words should be very concise and very short. So there's a blend of silence that goes into it that will absolutely help you be able to be that leader that can manage those very difficult situations that come up oftentimes as women in leadership. Now, I do want to preface this by saying that we have talked about some information that is very, very helpful to those individuals who are at that level where they really want to advance as leaders. And I shared with you when to stay silent and when to speak up as a leader. There's a couple scenarios that come up, and if you are wanting to learn more, definitely watch the replay. But the first thing I want to mention is that you need to speak up if something is ethically, morally, legally wrong, or it is something that is going to reflect negatively on you in an unfair way that is not your fault. You want to speak up. Now, to stay silent, you want to stay silent when you are learning, gathering, observing the room. That tells you a lot, and it helps you to build up your executive presence. If you want to learn more, then watch the replay. I do want to mention that I have a lot of things going on business-wise right now. I have a executive strategy session that I'm hosting this upcoming week. I have a lot of my smaller services that I'm offering to my clients. I just have a few slots left for those services. So you want to sign up really quickly because next week is going to be the end of it. I have an executive coaching session in terms of strategy development for women in leadership that are going through a career transition. I also have interview preparation support. I have resume review support. I have public speaking support. And I also have career development support. So if you are in a place where you need some support as a woman in leadership for maybe this next phase of the year or next phase of your journey, and you need some leadership development support as well, this is the time. This upcoming week will be probably one of the last times I end up having these type of sessions to help my clients in a one-on-one basis to move forward, because I'm leaning into my signature program, which is called the Real Executive Woman, that I'm going to be spending a lot more time on and letting you know more about here very soon. So let me know if you need some support. I have a few spots left this upcoming week, and after that, those services will probably not be offered as frequently, just because I'm going to be working on my very big transformational program for women in leadership to help them go from one place of their career to that higher level executive roles to help them communicate at that higher level as leaders. Now, I want to check the chat and see if there's any questions that we have right now. And so let's see if there's anything there. Actually, okay, so not any questions just yet. If you have any questions specifically as it relates to how to elevate how you are communicating as a leader, or questions about being in a manager type of role, or you have any questions specifically as it relates to advancing in your career, feel free to put them in the chat. And if you are watching this on the replay, put them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them for you. And I do want to mention that our channel reached 50,000 views, so I'm really excited about that. I appreciate you all for taking a few moments out of your day to spend with me and learn how to elevate your skills as a leader and learn some real world strategies that will actually help you. So if you don't have any questions, I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon in the next video. I will be going live as usual next week during the week. I should be in a good place, but there will be a period of time where my lives may pause just because I'm in a major transition right now. So I appreciate you all, and if you have any questions, let me know. One video I do want to mention to you before I leave that will be very helpful for you to review, if you have not watched it, is one of my lives that have had the most views, is called Think on Your Feet. So if you're new to the channel, then this is a great place for you to start.